Hey hello everybody and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be going over my favorite 10 Runelite plugins. So let's just jump right into it here. So you might notice when you're in fixed mode, the screen is rather small because when this was initially designed, the screen sizes are much smaller. And unfortunately in the default client there's no way to get that bigger. Luckily we do have the resizable mode, which helps out quite a bit. Now coming in at number 1 is the stretched fixed plugin. So essentially what this does is it allows you to be in the fixed size mode but stretch it to whatever size you want. Now why this is desirable is because if you notice when I'm in resizable mode, my inventory and other UIs are very small and there's no way to actually change that in the default client. Now when we change this over to the fixed resizable mode, this is now the exact same size. It's about 1280 by 720, so 720p, but the inventory is way bigger, my chat is way bigger, and there's some other options for integer scaling and making sure the aspect ratio is the same. However, I've had some issues that make it so it doesn't actually stay the proper size. Obviously that will change it, so that's the proper aspect ratio. But when I increase the performance mode and use integer scaling, it seems to not allow me to keep the same form, but still a very useful plugin for anyone who wants to have a larger inventory screen UI, or just likes playing in fixed mode but wants to have it on a larger screen. Coming in at number 2 is the Entity Hider. Now if you come over to the settings, there is a plugin called the Entity Hider, and it has a few options with it. Now this is mostly useful to get rid of other players. I currently use it a lot when I'm making videos. If you're on a laptop that doesn't have a lot of specs, sometimes getting rid of all the players can help out a lot. The very top setting will get rid of most of any other third-party players. You can hide your own character model, and there's a few other 2D animations and stuff you can hide as well. Now when I originally got this, I thought I would use it for avoiding PKers, because if you make yourself invisible, if someone logs in underneath you, it will show them instead of you just getting surprised by them. However, with the Runelite plugin, it does not seem to work correctly. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the way to do this, I might as well put this in the video, you can actually do render self as I typed in, and it'll get rid of you and display the players below you. And you just type it again to get rid of it again. Now coming in at number 3 is probably my favorite plugin in Runelite, and that is the animation smoothing plugin. It's near the top of the settings, and what this will do is smooth a few of the different animations in RuneScape. It'll smooth pretty much anything your character does, anything a character that's attacking you does, and a few other things as well. So if you look at right now with the animation smoothing, it looks so much more clear. It looks kind of like if you started watching a movie at 60 FPS and then changed it back to like 10 or 5 FPS. It's a very noticeable difference. Let's go attack something quickly here. I'm pretty sure even the special attacks has the animation smooth. Pretty much all the animations in the game look way nicer, and kind of just looks like you're playing at a higher FPS overall. Like I can do the special attack for the Abyssal Dagger. It looks a little gimpy because you can see more of the animation than you normally can, but still would highly recommend this plugin. Coming in at number 4 is the camera zoom function, including the vertical zoom function as well. Now the spot I use this at the most is agility. So this is the max you can zoom out in the normal client. However, we come over here and go down to the camera zoom function and turn it on. There's a few options here. You can expand the outer zoom limit, which will allow you to zoom very far out, which is the more useful. The vertical camera lets you go straight up because normally it kind of caps out at a certain angle. And you can also expand your zoom in if you want. Less useful, but kind of funny as well. Now, why this is so useful at agility is you can keep the entire course within your frame of vision, and you don't have to move your camera at all. You barely have to move your mouse. And with the agility plugin as well, it just makes it so easy and easy to AFK. So now let's expand the inner zoom limit. You can do some kind of funky things here. So you can kind of make it look like you're losing your mind or deep in thought, or maybe it's a scene out of a movie or something, but the more useful aspect of this function is the zoom out part. So for anyone who does Tears of Guthix, the Tears of Guthix plugin for Runelite is so useful. I think it single-handedly increased my average tears gained by about 20 to 30%. I didn't realize that tears stayed for the exact same amount of time, so I could have been counting this myself, but it's still extremely useful just the way it's set up. And it shows you exactly when the stream of tears is going to move or disappear. Now I only have like 200 quest points, so I don't even have the max amount of time possible, but I consistently get about 120 to 130 tears collected, which is not a lot for some, but for the amount of time I have in here, I think it's pretty good. This plugin's like a little bit OP in EasyScape, but it will allow you to get more experience for your timer, and since you can only do it once a week, it's kind of important. One thing worth mentioning is you can usually collect 1 or 2 more tiers after it looks empty, at least 1 more, and it's worth staying for that extra tick because it will increase how many tiers you get by about 10 or 15 after the whole thing is done. All right, coming in at number 6 is the farming tracker, and it's not actually just for farming. It's called the time tracking plugin. So it's used for farming, birdhouse runs, and there's like a stopwatch and a few other time-oriented things in there as well. So you have to go enable it in the menu, and what it will do is create another tab on your side bar there. So once you have it enabled, you'll click on the time clock here, and there's a bunch of different tabs. Now I find this most useful for tree runs because obviously those take hours, sometimes days to do, especially the hardwood tree runs, which take like 3 days to do. It's good to know exactly when they'll be ready, because after 3 days you might not remember. Herb runs and the birdhouse runs are so frequent that I don't really look at it much for that, but mainly for tree runs and hardwood tree runs and fruit tree runs. And once you're close enough in the area, leave an update whether it died or not. I mean, you're already heading there anyway, so I don't know if that's a huge benefit, but still useful. You can see after I harvested the Mauritania patch, it disappeared, but now that I planted it, it says it's going to be done at 11, which is not correct for my time zone, which I need to change. So for those of you who like a little bit of nostalgia, you'll probably like this next plugin, and that is the potential to change your interface to that, I think, of 2005 and 2010. Now, it'd be kind of nice if they added some more in here, but if we turn it on, you can see you get that classic old school RuneScape feel. All the icons are kind of older and shitty looking. And we also have the 2010 look, which is a little more crisp, and the icons are a little more legible, but a lot of people like that 2005 look. And if we put it into the fixed full screen mode with the first plugin I mentioned, you can see all of these giant icons, probably larger than they were intended to ever go. I think it looks really cool though, and extremely old school. Okay, coming up next, a very useful one, and that is the loot tracker. It's a pretty new plugin added just a couple months ago. So if we open up the settings page, we have to first turn it on, and it'll create a actual new tab for the loot tracker, just kind of like the farming tracker. Once you're at the settings, you want to scroll down to loot tracking, which will be about halfway down, and you can see it disappears, and then we turn it on and it's back. So once you click on the tab, it's going to do everything automatically. You don't have to enter any information or really do anything. I'm not sure how it tracks it. Maybe it's based on visuals, or maybe it has injected some code into the client. But you can see, there we go, it dropped 2 death runes and it noted it right there. It shows the value and the monster it was dropped from. So very well designed, I like it. I'm going to try this on another monster that's probably more profitable for an hour. Coming up next is probably the most overpowered plugin, and that is the Current Library plugin. The way this works is it starts off by displaying all the potential locations for the book. However, as you discover books, it'll narrow down where the locations can be. You can see there it's potential for 3 books to be there. Now, the reason this worked is because a player a while ago discovered that the Current Library is not random. It actually has a sort of algorithm to it in a way that it functions. So the longer you do the Current Library, the quicker you'll be able to find the other books, because it'll be able to narrow down the location and be more precise on where it tells you the books could potentially be. Like I said, I got to 60% favor easily within an hour, probably quicker than that. You can see that now it's only showing like 3 or 4 potential locations for the book. Normally you'd have to search every single one of these areas, and actually I don't even have to search them all. I just forgot the name of the book, to be honest. If I knew the name, I would probably be able to find it first try. Now, on top of this, it might be useful to get magic experience or rune crafting experience per hour. However, that's a completely different topic. And coming in at number 10, something that people have been requesting for years is the ability to control your camera with the WASD keys. Finally, that got added a couple weeks ago to Runelite. I've gotten so used to the middle mouse button now, I don't even know if it matters anymore, but you can see here, you can set, well, their default set to WASD. You can set them to any buttons if you want, but currently I'm using the WASD keys like it should have been 20 years ago or 15 years ago whenever this game came out, and like every single MMO, but now you can finally do it, and it feels pretty nice, to be honest. And that is about it, guys. So those are my favorite Runelite plugins. Now, there are a ton of them out there that are going to be useful, even though I didn't put them in the video. I try to keep this top 10 more general. Like, I know there's a ton of useful plugins for demonic gorillas, or there's a plugin for Slayer, or there's a plugin for cooking. There's a plugin for almost every skill, for almost anything you could ever want to do, but I wanted to go over ones that could generally help you every day, ones that you might leave on all the time, like animation smoothing. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave the video a like. I always appreciate it, and I will see you next time.